Fuck you!
Yep.
A ruthless arms dealer, Rahmat steals nuclear detonators, prompting the Expendables to intervene. Their mission goes sideways, costing one of their own and leading to the team's apparent disbandment. A new, younger team, led by Gina, is assembled by the CIA to hunt down Rahmat's mysterious superior, Ocelot, who plans to ignite World War III. Old rivalries and secrets resurface as the two generations of mercenaries race to prevent global catastrophe.
Where is General Fizan?
No, it's a snow shovel.
Barney told me you were ex-top.
Witness right.
Turned out to be.
Shit on this. Intel.
Well, which one is it, friend? Slowly. Well, my friends.
He's on the stern.
They die.
Such a pleasure.
Is that my trauma hawk?
Yeah.
I was gonna believe you were actually just gifting me.
It was all part of the plan. Let's go.
We're gonna what?
Let's lock and load.
New location permanently.
Pope don't shit in the woods. Or next to
She got a thing for that.
Oh shit!
Fuck it.
I got it.
How you doing, Rahmat?
idiot. I don't have...
Ocelot.
Witness that can identify Ocelot.
Marsh's Ocelot.
How long until...
Christmas! Go away!
You got something on the... An overboard seeming like a decent plan right now.
Bleeding out.
The idea. Next time, let's start...
There's no one on the bridge.
We need to get the ship back on.
Luke is gonna blow. We can't go up.
Hold to the bridge!
I see you cold! Want to come down face to face?
Ocelot.
You're a good soldier. On this?
Well, you can tell him yourself.
Welcome!
It's happening!
Hold on!
Hey guys, today we are diving headfirst into the explosive world of Expend4bles, the latest installment where our favorite aging, and let's be honest, slightly creaky, action heroes once again defy physics, logic, and the occasional hernia. Get ready for a high-octane recap that promises more booms than a fireworks factory on the 4th of July. We'll be breaking down every punch, every explosion, and every incredibly convenient plot twist that keeps this franchise rolling along like a well-oiled, slightly rusty tank. I put a lot of work into these, so if you like what you see, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. No worries if not. The movie kicks off with a bang, literally, as the Expendables are deployed to Libya. We've got Barney Ross, looking as stoic as ever, leading his crew, the perpetually knife-wielding Lee Christmas, the perpetually sarcastic Gunnar Jensen, the perpetually buff Toll Road, the tech-savvy Easy Day, and the newer, more agile duo, Lash and Gallon. Their mission, should they choose to accept it, which, let's be real, they always do, is to intercept a ruthless terrorist named Rahmat. Rahmat, because no good action movie villain is complete without a menacing, vaguely Middle Eastern-sounding name, has stolen a cache of nuclear detonators. You know, the kind of things that make bad days really bad. They arrive in a war-torn landscape. Dust and debris swirling around their armored vehicles, the heavy thrum of their engines cutting through the desert air. The atmosphere is tense, thick with the scent of sand and distant cordite. Barney gives the signal, a subtle nod, and the team moves with practiced efficiency, a well-oiled machine of destruction. Christmas, with his signature smirk and a glint in his eye, is already itching for action. Gunnar, ever the enthusiast for large-caliber weapons, probably has a little hum going on. Their target is a sprawling compound, fortified and crawling with Rahmat's heavily armed goons. The assault begins with a deafening roar as Gunnar unleashes a torrent of lead from his massive machine gun, tearing through the flimsy defenses. Splinters of wood fly, concrete chips away, and the air fills with the metallic symphony of gunfire. Christmas, ever the agile one, uses the cover provided by Gunnar's deluge to slip through the perimeter, his knives gleaming in the harsh sunlight. He moves with a liquid grace, a blur of motion, dispatching enemies with swift, silent strikes. The crack of bone, the muffled thud of bodies hitting the dirt, it's all part of his deadly dance. Toll Road and Easy Day provide tactical support, their comms buzzing with status updates and enemy positions. Easy Day, glued to his console, navigates the digital battlefield, feeding crucial intel, while Toll Road, a mountain of muscle, creates a path of devastation, his fists and shotgun doing most of the talking. Lash, with her sniper rifle, takes out key targets from a distance, the sharp crack of her rifle echoing intermittently, punctuating the heavier sounds of the main firefight. Gallon, a whirlwind of acrobatic combat, leaps and spins, delivering bone-jarring kicks and punches, often disarming opponents with fluid, almost artistic movements before taking them down. The choreography is a ballet of controlled chaos, each member a specialist in their chosen form of mayhem. They fight their way deeper into the compound, the sounds of battle intensifying. Explosions rock the structure, sending plumes of smoke and debris skyward. The ground trembles beneath their feet. They breach the main building, clearing rooms with aggressive precision, the heavy thwack of shotgun blasts and the rapid chatter of assault rifles filling the enclosed spaces. Rahmat, however, is a slippery eel. They find him attempting to escape with the detonators. A smug look on his face, Barney, ever the pilot, gives chase in his trusty old biplane, a relic that somehow always manages to be in perfect working order, even in the most inhospitable corners of the globe. It's truly a marvel of cinematic engineering, right? Because who needs modern jets when you've got propellers and a steely gaze? The pursuit is frantic, a classic aerial dogfight only with a biplane against a more modern, faster jet. Rahmat, from his jet, manages to get a lock on Barney. A missile launches, streaking towards the biplane. The air is ripped apart by the scream of the missile, followed by a monumental explosion. Barney's plane erupts in a fireball, disintegrating into a shower of burning wreckage that plummets into the desert. The team watches in horror, their comms falling silent. The silence that follows the explosion is deafening, heavier than any gunfire. A punch to the gut for everyone, and for us, the audience, who just saw an action legend supposedly bite the dust. The mission is a catastrophic failure. Rahmat escapes, and Barney, their leader, is gone. The remaining Expendables retreat, the weight of their loss pressing down on them. The journey back is somber, stripped of their usual bravado. The camaraderie that defines them feels fractured, replaced by a quiet grief. Back home, a makeshift memorial is held for Barney, a quiet gathering filled with unspoken sorrow. The air hangs heavy with loss, the clinking of glasses feeling out of place. Lee Christmas, already grappling with guilt from a prior mishap where he took Barney's custom ring, is called in by CIA Director Marsh. Marsh, a man whose patience wears thinner than a cheap suit, lays into Christmas, blaming him squarely for the failed mission and Barney's apparent demise. The words are sharp, cutting, each one designed to sting. The team, Marsh declares, is officially disbanded, their services no longer required. It's a harsh blow, leaving Christmas isolated and consumed by his own personal demons. He's benched, sidelined, and left to stew in his misery, the metallic tang of failure bitter on his tongue. He's got that classic action hero angst going on. You know the drill, brooding in a dimly lit bar, probably listening to some melancholic country song. Christmas returns to his apartment, the silence amplifying his guilt. He picks up a small, weathered box, opening it to reveal Barney's lucky ring. The cold metal feels heavy in his hand, a constant reminder of his failure. He attempts to sell it for some quick cash, a move born of desperation and self-loathing. But his attempt is thwarted when a local pawn shop owner recognizes the ring's significance, gently refusing to buy it. The encounter leaves Christmas even more frustrated, the weight of Barney's legacy pressing down on him. The irony of trying to hawk his friend's prized possession, only to be stopped by someone who reveres it, is a nice touch, adding a layer of tragic irony to his personal low point. Just when Christmas thinks things can't get any worse, a glimmer of hope, or at least a renewed sense of purpose, appears. He finds a clue, a subtle but unmistakable hint left by Barney himself. A small, almost imperceptible detail related to Barney's dog. Max, Barney's faithful companion, always seems to have a knack for being in the right place at the right time. Christmas realizes this isn't just about his dog. It's a breadcrumb, a message from beyond the grave, or perhaps not so beyond. The message leads Christmas to a contact, someone from Barney's shadowy past, a man who lives off the grid. This contact reveals that Barney might still be alive, and the supposed death was a carefully orchestrated ruse. The air crackles with a new kind of energy for Christmas, a surge of adrenaline replacing the crushing weight of grief. Meanwhile, Marsh, ever the puppet master, is not out of the game. He assembles a new team, a younger, more technologically advanced group, still with some familiar faces. Gina, Christmas's ex-girlfriend, is introduced as the new leader. Because nothing says new beginnings like bringing in your ex to lead a team that replaced your old team, right? She's sharp, capable, and clearly has a complex history with Christmas that's bound to boil over. Lash and Gallon, the agile duo from the previous mission, are still in the mix, along with some fresh blood. Easy Day, still the tech wizard, and a couple of new faces like Poe, another tech-focused operative, and another unnamed but clearly skilled new member who'll likely die spectacularly or save the day. The mission: track down Rahmat and, more importantly, his mysterious superior, the enigmatic Ocelot, a shadowy figure known for orchestrating global chaos. Ocelot's plan is nothing short of world-ending. Initiate World War III by detonating those nuclear devices. Talk about an ambitious project. The new team, a blend of old and new, is deployed to intercept a ship carrying the stolen detonators. The ship, a rusty behemoth slicing through the choppy waters, is their next target. The weather is appropriately grim, adding to the dramatic tension. The team infiltrates under the cover of darkness, moving like ghosts across the moonlit deck. The only sounds are the creak of the ship, the slap of waves against the hull, and the soft scuff of their boots. The tension is palpable, the air thick with anticipation. The ship's interior is a labyrinth of narrow corridors and cargo holds, each corner a potential ambush. The team moves in a tight formation, their weapons raised, eyes scanning every shadow. Suddenly, the quiet is shattered by a burst of gunfire. The ship erupts into a furious close-quarters battle. Gina takes point, her movements precise and deadly, demonstrating why she's leading the team. She moves through the close-packed containers with a brutal efficiency, using her surroundings to her advantage, the thump of her fists connecting with bodies resonating through the steel walls. Lash and Gallon prove their worth again, working in tandem, a whirlwind of acrobatic strikes and rapid-fire accuracy. Easy Day, even in the thick of the fight, maintains calms, directing fire, pointing out weaknesses. The new team members also get their moments to shine, showcasing their unique skills, from expert marksmanship to brutal hand-to-hand combat. The metallic clang of weapons, the guttural shouts of combatants, and the incessant bark of gunfire fill the confined space, creating a symphony of destruction amidst the chaos. Rahmat makes another appearance, predictably smug. He's not alone. The elusive Ocelot reveals himself to be Suardo, a formidable and chillingly calm adversary. Suardo is a menacing presence, exuding an aura of quiet deadliness. He engages Gina in a brief but intense skirmish, showcasing his own brutal fighting style before escaping with the remaining detonators. It's a frustrating setback for the new team. They manage to secure one detonator, a small victory in a larger defeat. The ship is a wreck, riddled with bullet holes, scorched by explosions, and littered with fallen enemies. Gina's leadership is tested, the weight of the failed mission pressing down on her. She barks orders, her voice firm despite the underlying frustration, ensuring the team extracts and regroups. The waves lap against the damaged hull, carrying away the echoes of the fight, leaving only the grim reality of their loss. Back on solid ground, Gina and the team debrief, the mood somber. Marsh, naturally, is furious but understands the gravity of the situation. Suardo and Rahmat still pose an existential threat. The intel they did manage to retrieve points to a massive, coordinated attack. A global chess game where the pieces are nations and the stakes are humanity itself. Meanwhile, Christmas, now fully convinced Barney is alive, has gone full rogue. Armed with the information from Barney's old contact, he tracks a lead to Thailand. This involves some good old-fashioned illicit dealings, maybe a shady bar, and a few veiled threats, because that's how a true expendable gets things done. He eventually finds a dilapidated airstrip and secures a small, somewhat unreliable plane, bribing or intimidating its owner. The roar of the old engine sputtering to life is a sound of defiance and determination. Christmas is on a mission, fueled by a mixture of stubborn loyalty and a dash of recklessness. He's not just flying a plane. He's flying into the heart of a global conspiracy to find his best friend. Because, let's be honest, what else would a guy like Lee Christmas do? Pay his taxes? The new team, using the secured detonator and Easy Day's formidable tech skills, manages to pinpoint Suardo's location, a heavily fortified submarine base, hidden away in a remote, undisclosed location. This base is not just a military installation. It's a technological marvel, designed to launch a coordinated attack across the globe. The sheer scale of Suardo's ambition is chilling. The team infiltrates the base, initially relying on stealth, moving through ventilation shafts and dark corridors, the whir of unseen machinery filling the air. The metallic tang of recycled air and the low hum of power generators create an oppressive atmosphere. But stealth, as we know, is often a temporary state in an Expendables movie. It doesn't take long for things to go sideways, inevitably leading to another explosive firefight. Alarms blare, red lights flash, and the sounds of combat erupt once more. The base, previously a quiet labyrinth, becomes a thunderous battleground. Gina leads the charge, her movements economical and brutal, her pistols spitting fire. Lash and Gallon are a blur of motion, disarming guards, delivering bone-shattering strikes. Toll Road and Gunner, because they simply must make an appearance, join the fray with their signature style, tearing through Suardo's forces like a hurricane. Toll Road smashes through obstacles, his heavy fists cracking against armored guards, while Gunner unleashes a stream of heavy machine gun fire, showering the area with spent casings and chaos. The team discovers Suardo's ultimate plan: launch a simultaneous series of attacks from multiple submarines, igniting a global conflict that will pit nations against each other. The sheer audacity of it is almost impressive, if it weren't so utterly terrifying. They find themselves cornered, trapped, the odds stacked heavily against them. The walls seem to close in, the sounds of their own struggle now accompanied by the ominous ping of sonar and the distant rumble of sub-engines powering up. Just as hope begins to wane, a familiar roar echoes through the cavernous base above them. Through a strategically placed opening, because of course there's one, Christmas makes his grand entrance in his rickety plane, guns blazing. It's the kind of arrival that only happens in action movies, defying all sensible aviation rules. The plane swoops low, guns tearing through the roof, providing a much-needed distraction and covering fire. Christmas executes a daring aerial maneuver, crashing the plane just inside the base, creating a spectacular explosion that clears a path and sends enemy forces scattering. The screech of tearing metal and the boom of the impact reverberate through the base, shaking the very foundations. From the wreckage, a figure emerges, covered in soot but otherwise unscathed, because, again, action hero rules. And then, the moment everyone, including the characters, has been waiting for. Barney Ross, alive and well, strides out from the shadows. He gives Christmas a knowing smirk, a subtle nod that speaks volumes. It's revealed that his death was a carefully orchestrated ruse, a setup engineered by Marsh and Barney to draw out Ocelot. It's a classic Expendables twist, proving that you can't keep a good action hero down, especially when there's a sequel to be made. The relief and anger on the team's faces are a mix. But the immediate goal overshadows any personal grievances. The full Expendables team, now reunited and powered by a fresh surge of adrenaline and a healthy dose of "we told you so" unspoken words, launches into the final, all-out assault against Suardo's forces. The submarine base transforms into an absolute warzone. This isn't just a firefight. It's a symphony of orchestrated destruction, a ballet of brutal combat. Barney takes charge, his voice a gravelly command over the comms, directing his team with the tactical genius that only decades of blowing things up can provide. He strategizes, positioning his crew to maximize their devastating impact, sending them through the chaos like a wrecking ball. Christmas, fueled by relief and a renewed sense of purpose, squares off against Suardo once more. The fight is a brutal, intensely personal affair. Christmas, with his signature blend of knife work and lightning-fast hand-to-hand combat, is a whirlwind of precise strikes. His knives flash, catching the glint of emergency lights as he parries, ducks, and weaves, each movement designed to inflict maximum damage. Suardo, however, is no slouch. He meets Christmas blow for blow, his movements efficient, powerful, and utterly ruthless. The thud of punches connecting, the scrape of metal on metal as knives clash, and the heavy, ragged breathing of the combatants fill the air. They trade blows, kicks, and desperate parries, each man pushing the other to their absolute limit. The fight isn't just about skill. It's about sheer, unadulterated willpower, a clash of ideologies fought with fists and blades. Meanwhile, Gina and Lash find themselves in a tense, almost philosophical confrontation. There might be a moment of mistaken identity, a test of loyalty, or simply a clash of styles. Their fight is characterized by agility and precision, a dynamic display of martial arts. Gina, with her pragmatic, no-nonsense approach, delivers powerful, measured strikes, while Lash, with her more fluid, acrobatic style, spins and leaps, creating opportunities. The swish of air as a kick misses, the snap of a quick block, the focused intensity in their eyes as they push each other. It's a testament to the fact that even within a team, individual strengths can be pitted against each other to demonstrate their collective power. The rest of the team are spread across the sprawling base, engaged in their own desperate battles. Toll Road, a veritable human battering ram, clears paths through enemy soldiers, his heavy blows sending combatants flying. The satisfying crack of his punches resonates through the metal corridors. Gunner, as expected, is in his element, a one-man army wielding a monstrous machine gun, turning entire sections of the base into Swiss cheese. The incessant thump-thump-thump of his weapon is a constant, reassuring presence in the cacophony. Easy Day, still in command of his console, desperately works to override the launch sequence for the submarines, his fingers flying across the keyboard, the low beep and whir of the computers providing a counterpoint to the explosions. He's battling the clock, a glowing digital timer ticking down ominously on his screen, each second a pulse of anxiety. Explosions ripple through the base, the foundations shaking violently, debris raining down. The air is thick with smoke, dust, and the acrid smell of burnt wiring and gunpowder. The sounds are overwhelming. The thrum of the sub-engines as they reach critical power, the shriek of alarms, the constant barrage of gunfire, and the guttural roars of combatants. It's sensory overload, exactly what you'd expect from an Expendables finale. Barney, ever the strategist, identifies key structural weak points, directing his team to take them out, causing controlled, mostly, collapses that hinder the enemy and buy them precious time. The climax arrives as Christmas finally manages to get the upper hand on Suardo. After a brutal final exchange, a well-placed, decisive blow, perhaps a knife to a vulnerable spot, or a heavy impact that sends him reeling, incapacitates the villain. The fight ends not with a bang, but with a choked gasp from Suardo as he slumps, defeated. With Suardo out of commission, the focus shifts to the detonators. Easy Day, with seconds to spare, manages to disrupt the launch sequence, but not without one last dramatic surge of power from the enemy system. The countdown stops just before 0, a wave of relief washing over the team, the heavy click of the counter freezing in place. The base, severely damaged but no longer a threat, begins to stabilize. The sounds of battle slowly fade, replaced by the groaning of stressed metal and the distant drip of water. The remaining enemy forces scatter or are rounded up. The Expendables, battered and bruised, but ultimately victorious, regroup amidst the wreckage. They look at each other, a mix of exhaustion, relief, and that familiar, unspoken understanding that only those who faced death together truly share. In the aftermath, amidst the smoldering ruins of the submarine base, the team stands together. The sun slowly rising, painting the damaged landscape in hues of orange and gray. Barney and Christmas exchange a look, a silent acknowledgement of their complicated friendship and the bond that transcends all deceptions. Barney finally offers a full explanation for his elaborate charade, his voice low and raspy. He knew that Ocelot was too cunning to be caught by a direct assault. The only way to draw him out was to make him believe he had truly won, to give him the confidence to reveal his full plan. Marsh corroborates this, explaining the intricate planning involved, the risks taken, and the absolute necessity of the deception. It was a high-stakes gamble, one that paid off, but not without causing significant emotional turmoil for the team, especially Christmas and Gina. Gina and Christmas also have a moment, a quieter exchange amidst the larger drama. There's an acknowledgement of their shared past, the tension that still exists, but also a renewed respect for each other's capabilities. She understands his loyalty to Barney, even if she disagreed with the methods. Lash and Gallon, the newer additions, have clearly proven their worth, earning their stripes in the crucible of battle. They've moved beyond being just new recruits, now truly part of the extended family. Their earlier flashes of individual skill, now tempered by the hard-won experience of a truly global threat. The future of the Expendables, it seems, is secure, with a new generation ready to carry the torch, alongside the grizzled veterans who still know how to blow things up with style. The team looks out at the ocean, the calm after the storm, knowing that while this battle is won, there will always be another threat lurking, another mission for the Expendables. This movie reminds us that even in the face of impossible odds and personal betrayal, the bonds of loyalty and a shared purpose can prevail. The Expendables, in their own chaotic way, represent the unwavering spirit of those who stand against tyranny, proving that experience, cunning, and an abundance of firepower can still save the day. It's a testament to resilience, the belief in second chances, and the enduring power of friendship forged in fire. Sometimes, the most meaningful victories are not just in defeating the enemy, but in rediscovering the trust within ourselves and with each other. Expend4bles delivers exactly what it promises: non-stop, over-the-top action with a healthy dose of nostalgia. While some plot points might feel a tad familiar, the sheer scale of the explosions, the brutal fight choreography, and the chemistry among the cast make it a thoroughly entertaining ride for fans of the franchise. It's a pure, unadulterated popcorn flick that embraces its identity with gusto. We're diving headfirst into the explosive chaos that is Expend4bles, the latest installment in the saga of the world's most indestructible old-school mercenaries. Get ready for a deep dive into every punch, every explosion, and every one-liner delivered with varying degrees of gravitas. Because this movie doesn't just push the envelope, it detonates it. We're going to walk through the entire storyline, scene by scene, giving you all the gritty details and maybe a few laughs along the way. If you like this sneak peek, hit the like button and subscribe. It's the best way to support the channel, and let me know you want more. The air in Libya was thick with heat and the promise of impending mayhem. Barney Ross, cigar clamped firmly between his teeth, scanned the arid landscape from inside the cargo plane. A grizzled veteran whose eyes had seen too many battles to count. Lee Christmas, ever the blade's expert, meticulously polished his throwing knives, the cold steel gleaming under the dim cabin light. Their mission, like so many before it, was straightforward: intercept a shipment of detonators in a chemical weapons facility and prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. The team, a familiar ensemble of muscle and specialized destruction, prepared for insertion. Toll Road, the demolition expert, checked his explosives with a practiced hand, while Gunner, the resident heavy weapons specialist, hummed a tuneless melody, clearly eager for some target practice. The plane shuddered, a low rumble filling the space before the rear ramp began to descend. Revealing the vast, dusty expanse below, the jump was clean. A flurry of dark silhouettes against the harsh daylight. Parachutes blossoming open with a crisp snap. They landed silently, their boots kicking up puffs of sand as they fanned out, moving with the practiced efficiency of a well-oiled machine. The facility loomed, a drab concrete structure that belied the deadly contents within. Inside, they found the place teeming with heavily armed guards, a clear indication that this wasn't going to be a walk in the park. Barney barked orders, his voice a gravelly whisper, and the team moved. Christmas was a blur of motion, his knives whistling through the air with deadly precision, finding their marks with sickening thuds. The guards went down silently, choked gasps the only sound as steel met flesh. Toll Road expertly rigged charges, a soft click followed by the faint hiss of a timer, promising future fireworks. Gunner, however, lived up to his name. The thumping rhythm of his heavy machine guns soon joined the symphony of destruction, shells ejecting in a shower of brass, tearing through concrete and flesh alike. It was a chaotic dance, a ballet of bullets and brutal efficiency. They fought their way deeper, the facility groaning under the assault. The detonators were eventually located, secured within a reinforced vault. But just as they thought they had the situation under control, a new player emerged: Rahmat, a notorious mercenary with a particularly nasty reputation. Rahmat wasn't alone. He had his own formidable crew, and they were ready for a fight. The ensuing firefight was a maelstrom of explosions and gunfire. Bullets ricocheted off concrete pillars, sparks flying, the air thick with the smell of cordite. Barney, ever the front man, found himself in a brutal close-quarters struggle, his fists and forearms deflecting blows, his grunts of effort echoing in the cacophony. Rahmat, a towering figure, seemed to revel in the chaos, his movements precise and powerful. He wasn't just a brute. He was a skilled fighter, a dangerous combination. The mission, which had seemed so routine, quickly escalated. A chase sequence erupted, spilling out of the facility and onto the dusty roads. Vehicles tore across the desert, engines screaming, tires spitting up plumes of sand. Christmas, now in a jeep, expertly swerved and dodged incoming fire, his throwing arm still a deadly weapon, launching knives at pursuing vehicles with uncanny accuracy. One particular shot connected with a driver's head, sending the vehicle careening off the road in a cloud of dust and twisted metal. It was classic Expendables, a glorious display of over-the-top vehicular destruction. But then, the unthinkable happened. Rahmat, with a chillingly calm expression, deployed an RPG. The explosive projectile streaked across the sky, a fiery comet heading straight for Barney's chopper. The explosion was deafening. A massive fireball erupting in the sky, scattering debris across the desert floor. The chopper, a mangled wreck, spun out of control, a dark plume of smoke marking its descent. Christmas watched in horror, a raw scream tearing from his throat, the metallic clang of his own gear forgotten. Barney Ross, his mentor, his friend, was gone. The image of the fiery crash seared itself into his mind. The rest of the team was devastated, their usual stoic expressions replaced by shock and grief. The mission was a failure, and the cost was immeasurable. They had retrieved the detonators, yes, but at what price? Back at base, the atmosphere was heavy, a suffocating blanket of sorrow. General Marsh, their contact, delivered the grim news officially, his voice strained. Barney Ross was confirmed dead. The air hung thick with unspoken grief and simmering anger. Christmas, however, wasn't just grieving. He was seething. He blamed himself. He had been so close, so focused on his own targets, he hadn't seen the RPG coming. Marsh, perhaps sensing Christmas's internal turmoil, informed him that he was being benched. His emotional state made him a liability, a decision that felt like a slap in the face. Christmas, a man who lived and breathed combat, was effectively demoted, stripped of his active status. It was a cruel irony for a man who had just lost his surrogate father. The metallic taste of ash filled his mouth, a grim reminder of the chopper's fiery end. Benched meant relegated to the mundane, to paperwork and the quiet hum of a repair shop, a stark contrast to the adrenaline-fueled life he was used to. Christmas, a man of action, found solace, or perhaps further frustration, in fixing up a classic motorcycle. The smell of oil and grease, the rhythmic clang of tools against metal, were poor substitutes for the roar of combat. Meanwhile, the world still needed saving. The threat of nuclear war loomed large, and Rahmat was still out there, a ghost in the wind, presumed to be working for a shadowy figure known only as Ocelot. This mysterious Ocelot was the true puppet master, the one pulling Rahmat's strings that a new team was assembled, a blend of old and new faces, a mix of seasoned veterans and fresh blood. Toll Road and Gunner were still in, their loyalty unwavering, their faces etched with the lingering sorrow of Barney's loss. They were joined by Easy Day, a younger, more tech-savvy operative, a whiz with gadgets and information, a stark contrast to their usual analog approach. Lash, a fierce martial artist with a penchant for flashy moves and precise strikes, added a dynamic edge. And then there was Gallon, a quiet, imposing figure, skilled in close-quarters combat, his presence adding a layer of controlled menace. Lee Christmas, watching from the sidelines, saw a reflection of their old team. But without Barney, it felt fundamentally broken, like a symphony missing its conductor. The new mission was clear: track down Rahmat, uncover Ocelot's identity, and prevent a global catastrophe. Their target was a cargo ship, rumored to be carrying the nuclear warheads. Marsh, overseeing the operation, gave a stern briefing, emphasizing the stakes. The team prepared, their movements efficient, but there was a palpable tension in the air, a quiet understanding of the immense pressure on them. They were stepping into Barney's shoes, and those were some very large boots to fill. Christmas, unable to sit idly by, tried to convince Gina, his ex-girlfriend and now a key operative in this new mission, to let him rejoin. Their conversation was a strained mix of old affections and professional duties. Gina, sharp and capable, held her ground. Orders were orders. Christmas, frustrated, found himself in a local bar, a place he frequented, a blur of neon lights and clinking glasses, trying to drown his sorrows. But trouble, as it often does, found him. A group of roughnecks, perhaps sensing his foul mood, picked a fight. Christmas, though benched, was still Christmas. The bar brawl that ensued was a classic, beautifully choreographed display of his raw skill. Bottles shattered, chairs splintered, and bodies flew across the room with satisfying thuds. He moved with a brutal elegance, deflecting punches, delivering bone-jarring kicks, his fists connecting with the crack of a whip. The fight was quick, decisive, and left a trail of stunned and bruised bar patrons in its wake. It was a violent reminder that he was still a formidable force, even if the general didn't think so. Meanwhile, the new team was preparing for infiltration. Easy Day, with his tech expertise, was instrumental in developing a plan to board the ship undetected. The strategy was elaborate, requiring precise timing and coordinated movements. They practiced their maneuvers, the sounds of simulated combat echoing through their training facility. Lash moved with the grace of a panther, her strikes fluid and powerful, the whoosh of her kicks cutting through the air. Gallon, a silent force, demonstrated his grappling techniques, his opponents groaning under his controlled strength. Toll Road and Gunner, the old guard, offered guidance, their wisdom a steadying influence amidst the fresh energy. The tension was building, a crescendo of anticipation for the imminent confrontation. The time for action arrived. Under the cloak of darkness, the team launched their assault on the cargo ship. It was a classic stealth operation, albeit one destined to go loud eventually. They moved like shadows, rappelling down ropes, their boots landing softly on the metallic deck. The ship's internal layout was complex, a maze of corridors and cargo holds, each corner potentially hiding an enemy. Easy Day, with his comms and hacking skills, navigated them through the ship's security systems, bypassing cameras and locking doors. His fingers flying across his keyboard with a soft clicking sound. The first contact was inevitable. A patrol of guards, taken by surprise, went down quickly and efficiently. But soon, the ship erupted into a full-blown firefight. The narrow corridors became kill zones, filled with the percussive roar of automatic weapons and the sharp crack of sniper fire. Toll Road, in his element, set off small, tactical explosions, disorienting enemies and creating diversions. The concussive blasts reverberated through the ship's hull, a deep thrumming sensation that could be felt in the chest. Gunner, with his massive machine gun, laid down suppressive fire, his weapon a roaring beast, spitting out a continuous stream of hot brass. The metallic clang of bullets hitting surfaces, the shouts of the enemy, and the steady thud of falling bodies painted a chaotic picture. Lash proved her worth in spades, moving with breathtaking speed and agility, delivering a flurry of kicks and punches that left a trail of incapacitated guards. Her martial arts were a beautiful, brutal dance, each strike precise and devastating. Gallon, a man of few words, let his actions speak. He engaged in brutal hand-to-hand combat, his powerful physique and expert technique allowing him to dispatch multiple opponents with ease, the sickening crunch of bone a testament to his strength. Gina, leading the charge, was a force of nature, her aim precise, her movements decisive. She was a natural leader, commanding respect and inspiring action. Deep within the ship, they finally located the warheads. But Rahmat was there, waiting. He wasn't just a mercenary. He had a personal vendetta against the Expendables, a connection that ran deeper than mere contracts. The confrontation was intense, a brutal clash of wills and weapons. Rahmat was a formidable opponent, strong and cunning, his blows carrying a bone-shattering force. The fight was a mix of close-quarters combat and strategic maneuvering around the volatile nuclear devices. The stakes were impossibly high. Just as the team seemed to be gaining the upper hand, the true twist was revealed. Marsh, their supposed ally, appeared, his face etched with a smug, self-satisfied grin. He wasn't just a handler. He was Ocelot. The betrayal stung, a sharp, cold jab in the gut. Marsh, it turned out, had orchestrated the entire scenario, including Barney's apparent death, to acquire the warheads for his own nefarious purposes. The revelation sent a ripple of shock through the team. They had been played, manipulated like puppets. The metallic taste of betrayal was stronger than any gunpowder. Marsh, now fully revealed as the villain, explained his grand plan, a classic villain monologue, complete with dramatic pauses and a smug smirk. He intended to detonate the warheads, not to destroy a specific target, but to plunge the world into a state of global chaos, from which he and his shadowy organization would emerge as the new power brokers. It was a chilling vision, a testament to pure, unadulterated megalomania. And he had a small army of his own mercenaries on the ship, waiting to unleash hell. The battle escalated dramatically. The team found themselves outmanned and outgunned, trapped on a ship that was now a ticking time bomb. But then, a familiar roar pierced the cacophony. Lee Christmas, unable to stay away, had found a way onto the ship. He burst onto the scene, a whirlwind of knives and fury, a man possessed. His entrance was a glorious, albeit slightly melodramatic, moment, a true cinematic surprise. He had hitched a ride, a truly wild one, making it to the ship just in time. The timing was almost too perfect, a true movie hero moment. But hey, that's what we pay for, right? Christmas's presence, fueled by grief and a burning desire for revenge, injected a fresh wave of adrenaline into the beleaguered team. He moved like a dervish, his knives finding targets with astonishing speed, a terrifying ballet of steel and vengeance. The fight intensified, becoming a desperate scramble for survival and to disarm the warheads. The ship groaned and shuddered under the strain of the relentless combat and the multiple explosions that now rocked its structure. The metallic clanging and creaking of the hull created a constant, unsettling symphony of impending doom. The team fought as one, a seamless unit. Toll Road rigged new charges, creating strategic breaches in the ship's hull, causing sprays of seawater to rush in. Gunner's heavy machine gun roared, clearing paths and providing cover fire, its rhythmic thudding a constant reassurance. Easy Day, under immense pressure, frantically worked on disarming the warheads, his fingers a blur across the intricate wiring, the soft clicks of the timer echoing in his ears. Lash and Gallon were a dynamic duo, their combined martial arts prowess overwhelming Marsh's elite guards. The sounds of their strikes echoing sharply. Christmas, now free of his self-imposed guilt, pursued Rahmat with a singular focus. Their final confrontation was a brutal, no-holds-barred slugfest, a whirlwind of punches, kicks, and improvised weapons. Rahmat, enraged, fought with a primal ferocity, fueled by his own twisted sense of purpose. The sounds of their impact resonated through the metal decking, a sickening succession of thuds and grunts. Christmas, though smaller, moved with an agility that belied his power, weaving, dodging, and striking with devastating precision. He wasn't just fighting. He was channeling his grief, his anger, into every blow. The fight culminated in a dramatic struggle near the ship's edge, a precarious dance between life and death. In a tense moment, Marsh, the mastermind, revealed another cruel twist. He was an Ocelot, not really. Ocelot was Barney Ross, still alive. The revelation hit Christmas like a physical blow, a sudden, sharp intake of breath. The man he had mourned, the man whose death he had blamed himself for, was actually alive and had orchestrated this entire elaborate ruse to expose Marsh and capture the warheads. The emotional whiplash was extreme. It was a classic Expendables move, a plot twist so audacious it almost felt like a cheat, but you couldn't help but chuckle at the sheer audacity of it all. Barney, ever the trickster, had played the long game. Barney, alive and well, made his dramatic entrance, not with a bang, but with a quiet, knowing smirk. He had faked his death, using the Libya mission as a setup to lure Marsh out into the open. The chopper crash, the funeral, Christmas's demotion, all part of the elaborate charade. He had been working undercover all along, patiently building his case, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. His arrival brought a sense of relief, but also a healthy dose of exasperation. Of course he's alive. You could almost hear the audience muttering. Asterisk asterisk, the final phase of the operation shifted. Now, the goal was not just to disarm the warheads, but to secure them and apprehend Marsh. The battle intensified, with the added confusion of Barney's dramatic reveal. Marsh, realizing his plan was crumbling, became even more desperate, fighting with a maniacal rage. The ship was still rocking, groaning, and taking on water, adding to the urgency. Christmas, momentarily stunned by Barney's resurrection, quickly refocused his rage onto Rahmat. Their fight resumed with renewed intensity. The ship's engines screamed under the strain, the sound a metallic shriek that pierced the air. Christmas, finally overcoming his personal demons, delivered a series of devastating blows, fueled by a mixture of anger, relief, and a touch of, "You seriously let me grieve for you, old man?" The final blow sent Rahmat tumbling, a silent, sickening splash into the churning waters below, his reign of terror finally extinguished. Meanwhile, Barney confronted Marsh, their clash a battle of wits and experience rather than pure brute force. Barney, despite his age, moved with a deceptive speed, his punches finding their marks with surprising power, the crack of bone on bone echoing in the ship's control room. Marsh, though younger, found himself outmaneuvered, his arrogance proving to be his downfall. Barney delivered a final, decisive blow, sending Marsh sprawling, his grand plan unraveling around him. With Marsh apprehended and Rahmat dealt with, the team frantically worked to secure the warheads. Easy Day, sweating profusely, finally managed to disarm the last of them, the soft, satisfying click of the mechanism locking into place bringing a collective sigh of relief. The immediate threat of nuclear detonation was averted, but the ship itself was still in dire straits. It was heavily damaged, listing dangerously, and sinking fast. The daring escape plan was quickly concocted. With time running out, they realized they couldn't simply sail away. Barney, ever the one for dramatic flair, decided their best bet was to commandeer a fighter jet that was conveniently stashed in the ship's cargo hold. Because, of course, a nuclear warhead-carrying mercenary ship would have a fully fueled and operational fighter jet just chilling out. It was a classic action movie trope, embraced with gusto. The engines roared to life, a deafening sound that vibrated through the ship's already compromised structure. The plane took off. A chaotic, last-second scramble as the ship plunged beneath the waves. Its final descent marked by a massive gurgle and a spray of water. It was a truly spectacular sequence, full of the kind of physics-defying stunts that make these movies so much fun. The plane, flying precariously close to the water, was already showing signs of damage from the previous skirmishes. But they were alive, and the warheads were secured as they flew away, a moment of reprieve, a chance for the team to process everything that had just happened. Christmas, still reeling from the emotional roller coaster, finally had a heart-to-heart with Barney. The conversation was a mix of anger, relief, and grudging respect. Barney, with his characteristic gruff humor, explained his rationale, emphasizing the necessary deception to stop a truly dangerous adversary like Marsh. It was a complex moment, full of unspoken emotions, but ultimately, the bond between them, though tested, remained unbreakable. The plane, however, was in worse shape than they initially thought. During the final moments of the battle, it had sustained critical damage. A new threat emerged. The plane began to fail, its engines sputtering, smoke billowing from its wings. They were plummeting, an uncontrolled descent towards the jungle below. The sound of metal groaning under stress, the violent shuddering of the plane, and the frantic shouts of the team filled the small cockpit. The crash landing was brutal. A violent impact that sent debris flying and left the team dazed and bruised, but miraculously alive. They emerged from the wreckage, coughing and shaking off the dust, finding themselves deep in an unfamiliar jungle. The plane was a twisted mess of metal, a grim reminder of their near-death experience. But their ordeal wasn't over. Marsh, having managed to escape the wreckage, was still a threat, and he had activated a distress beacon, summoning his remaining forces. The jungle became their final battlefield. Marsh's reinforcements, a fresh wave of well-armed mercenaries, descended upon them. The final confrontation was a desperate, gritty, brutal fight for survival in a dense, unforgiving environment. The sounds of gunfire were muffled by the thick foliage, but the impact of bullets on trees and flesh was no less devastating. The air was heavy with humidity, the scent of damp earth mingling with the acrid smell of gunpowder. The team, though injured and exhausted, fought with renewed determination. Barney, with his years of experience, expertly guided them, using the jungle terrain to their advantage. Christmas, now fully reconciled with Barney, fought side by side with him, their movements a synchronized ballet of destruction. Knives flashed, bullets flew, and the sounds of hand-to-hand combat echoed through the trees. Toll Roads set traps, using the environment to his advantage, causing mercenaries to trip and fall into strategically placed pits or get entangled in tripwires, earning a satisfying thud as they hit the ground. Gunner's heavy machine gun, though slightly damaged, still roared to life, cutting down swaths of enemies. Lash and Gallon proved invaluable in the close-quarters, claustrophobic environment of the jungle. Lash's agility allowed her to weave through the trees, striking from unexpected angles, her kicks and punches landing with bone-jarring force. Gallon, a silent predator, moved through the undergrowth, ambushing enemies with brutal efficiency, his powerful grips and throws rendering opponents unconscious with alarming speed. Easy Day, using his tech, managed to jam enemy communications, sowing confusion and disrupting their coordinated attacks. The frustrated shouts of the mercenaries echoing as their radios went dead. The fight was long and arduous, a true test of their endurance. Marsh, in a final act of desperation, confronted Barney again. Their last battle was personal, a clash of old rivals, both refusing to yield. Barney, despite his age, fought with the wisdom of countless battles, his movements economical but deadly. He finally cornered Marsh, delivering a series of precise blows that left the treacherous agent incapacitated. The thud of his body hitting the jungle floor a final, definitive sound, with Marsh finally defeated, and his remaining forces scattered or captured, the jungle fell silent, save for the chirping of insects and the rustling of leaves. The team, battered and bruised but victorious, gathered, their faces streaked with dirt and sweat. They had faced overwhelming odds, betrayal, and the ghost of their past, and they had emerged triumphant. The warheads were safe, the world was no longer on the brink, and the Expendables, though a little older and wiser, were still the last line of defense. They eventually found their way out of the jungle. A quiet trek through the dense foliage, the sounds of their weary footsteps the only accompaniment. They were picked up by a chopper, its blades whirring softly as it descended, a beacon of hope after their ordeal. As they flew away, the jungle receding beneath them, there was a sense of camaraderie, an unspoken understanding that had been forged in the crucible of battle and betrayal. Barney, ever the stoic leader, shared a rare, knowing look with Christmas, a silent acknowledgement of their bond, tested and proven anew. Back at a secure facility, the warheads were finally handed over to appropriate authorities, the final loose ends tied up. The mission was officially over. The team, tired but triumphant, finally allowed themselves a moment of respite. They were still the Expendables, a ragtag group of misfits and legends, but their resolve was stronger than ever. They had faced a formidable foe, weathered a monumental deception, and emerged with their brotherhood intact. The world, oblivious to the near catastrophe, continued its daily rhythm, safe for another day thanks to their unseen sacrifices. The final scenes show the team reflecting on their journey. A quiet moment of camaraderie. Barney, in his usual understated way, expressed his gratitude and respect for each member, acknowledging their courage and resilience. Christmas, no longer burdened by guilt, stood tall, his eyes holding a newfound clarity. The new members, Lash, Gallon, and Easy Day, had proven themselves worthy, earning their place among the legends. The old guard, Toll Road and Gunner, simply nodded, their weathered faces showing a quiet satisfaction. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of the Expendables, a reminder that even in the face of betrayal and personal loss, their commitment to each other and their mission would always prevail. The journey was filled with explosions, betrayals, and the kind of over-the-top action only these guys can deliver, but at its heart, it was about finding your footing again after a devastating loss, and realizing that sometimes the biggest betrayals are just elaborate setups for an even bigger comeback. As the dust settles and the echoes of explosions fade, we're left with a sense of the enduring spirit that drives these warriors. Their journey, marked by sacrifice and unyielding resolve, reminds us that courage isn't just about facing external threats, but about confronting our own doubts and finding strength in unexpected places. The bonds forged in the fires of battle, though tested by deception, ultimately prove unbreakable. A powerful testament to loyalty and brotherhood in a world constantly on the brink. Expend4bles delivers exactly what it promises. Non-stop, high-octane action with a healthy dose of nostalgia for fans of the franchise. While the plot takes some wildly improbable turns, the sheer energy and commitment of the cast make it an entertaining ride, a fitting continuation for these action legends. It's loud, it's over the top, and it's a blast for anyone looking for pure, unadulterated explosive fun.